So someone told me, he said, Bruce, this was years ago, just undress the audience. Just take clothes off and they'll be right. And it didn't work.
I would be scared to undress some people in that audience when I walk on stage. That might be
Yeah.
horrifying.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? I'm Bruce Harris, and welcome to Cheques Play. Hey, did you notice I did not say Cheques Play Casino Podcast? Well, that's because I will be talking about a wide range of topics that hopefully you will find interesting. You never know. I want to really have some powerful and interesting guests that we all can learn from, not just you, but myself. I'm always trying to learn. But here's a message from a sponsor, very quick.
Pisano Destinations. Enjoy custom vacations in Italy and luxury cruises tailored just for you. Their motto is treat every client like a VIP, and that's why you get hands-on support 24/7. It's exactly what you need to enjoy a safe and relaxing, memorable vacation. Contact them at pisanodestinations.com. Use promo code ChequesPlay.
So I'm super excited about our first guest. He's Dr. Jeffrey Magee. Dr. Magee is the author of over 30 books, 4 of which are bestsellers. He is the publisher of Professional Performance 360 magazine, editor-in-chief of CEO World magazine. Also, he has a brand new book that's coming out called Change Happens and Transformation Occurs. We're going to be talking about that. So please help me welcome Dr. Jeffrey Magee to Cheques Play. Let's do it.
Good to see you. Life is great. You're looking sharp as always.
Oh, I don't know. I'm a little flustered right now. I just had a birthday, so it happens. I'm getting younger every day. I will be in diapers before you know it.
That is the cycle of life. We
That's
start
the
in
cycle.
diapers and end in diapers.
Benjamin Buttons or
You
something
said it,
like
not
that.
me.
How's it going, man? Thanks for being here. Good to see
Too
you.
funny.
Where are you?
I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, where I reside, and tomorrow, who knows where the plane takes me to my next great opportunity with my clients.
Wow. I mean, I spoke to somebody. I think I got a text message from. I think you have a publicist or somebody that said you were in 8 cities in 10 days, and so forth. You're like constantly on the move. How's it going?
That's exactly it. Between working with clients and book signings, again, the world is global. And some of it is remote touch points, and others you got to be live, face to face, skin to skin, as they say.
That's great. That's fantastic. So, what are you doing? You have a new book that's coming out very soon. This I mentioned earlier on the intro. You had over 30 books. So, what number is this now? You have a new book that's coming out. A change happens and transformations occur. Tell us about that?
You got it. Changeformational. Number 32, books have been translated into 21 languages, global bestsellers, graduate management textbooks, trade books, whole gamut. So Changeformational, great question. So the book is challenging the conventional wisdom we've all raised, worked, and been around the concept of change. Change happens, change agents, change leadership, dealing with change. And one day what I started to realize with my clients, both from Fortune 100 clients globally to entrepreneurial, privately held businesses, is that change means you never win. So I'm going to challenge some thoughts here. It's a $1 billion industry. Everyone talks about change. I'm about to blow up every change speaker on the planet. Mm-hmm. Change means something has already happened, and what do you need to do to adjust, adapt, change to be competitive in that space? What do you do to change to be successful in that space? What do you do to change to survive in that space? So to me, change means someone else has already rewritten the rules. What do you need to do? And so think about the words just in the past decade. Pivot. Pivot means exactly that. Someone else has changed the rules. What do you do to stay in the game? So as long as you're dealing with change, that may be fine for a lot of people, but my challenge point is this: change means someone else is dictating the rules of engagement. Transformation means you're dictating the rules of engagement. So the premise is this: whenever change happens, you want to leverage that to make massive transformation in your life, in your business, in your market space, so you can catapult forward and you can win. You want to rewrite the rules of engagement. A lot of us, we live in a world where, one day I'm going to change, one day I'm going to do this. Well, some people are able to take action, but most people, truth be told, do not. So therefore, when you're forced to make a change, let that be a window of opportunity to massively go through it and transform your products, your systems, your delivery, your structure, your activities, your actions, your mindset. So change formational is mashing up the concepts of change, opportunities of change with transformation to rewrite the rules that everyone else has to play by so you're in the lead, and that's where you will always win. Change formational, you win. Change, at best, you survive.
Yeah, you definitely want to be at the top of the game and and win the race, as you said. So now this is your new book that's coming out, and change and pivot. I have a feeling, did COVID have any inspiration for you to write this book?
Yes and no. That's a great question. So for those of our listeners that can mentally go back to 9/11, so 2000, 2001 in the United States as an example, because I know we have a global audience. I was in New York City at the time, working with Pfizer Pharmaceutical. It took me a week and a half to get out of New York City to get back home at that time I lived in Oklahoma. And what I recognized though is this: about every 10 years, anywhere on the globe where you are, there's a massive transformation that takes place, whether it's a recession, whether it's terrorism, whether it's business, whether it's something in your own life. And so what happened after 9/11 was, in my business, I was being successful despite myself. And that was a learned opportunity, because some of my colleagues reached out to me and were asking some business questions. And some of those questions were, hey, my business is flatlining. Magee, I hear yours is growing. What's going on? Wow. And I realized at that time I was focusing on leadership and transformation, if you will. And I was in businesses that were all what we deem today as essential. So before the word became fashionable out of COVID, to your question, all of my businesses were in essential market space, which means in tough times, they don't shut down. If they do shut down, you might as well get a ticket and leave the planet, because all hell's broken loose. So in 2008, 9, and 10 here in North America, we had a major recession. My business was relatively bulletproof against, because of the changes I was forced to make. And now I'm doing it consciously in 8, 9, 10. Then in here we have 2020, COVID hit, same thing. My business is very well insulated, bulletproof, very successful, where everyone around me was in trouble. But I used COVID to be change formational. While everyone else was trying to figure out what to do, I was already there, so I could leverage myself forward faster than anyone else. And at the same time, I was able to coach and advise some of my own colleagues in my own industry as to how to make their adjustments to be, in essence, relevant and survive, and then ultimately thrive again. So COVID was a blessing in disguise. And I tell people it was the #1 sales agent I've had in 33 years of my organization, as well as it caused businesses to make serious decisions that they were hesitating to make in 2019. When COVID hit, they were forced to make some decisions that they might have made 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, but they had to make right now to be successful. So again, proof positive, again, change formational.
Wow, that's fantastic. So that's great that you were able to recognize and take that energy and drive it into something that you could benefit not just you, but people as you write a book and create, put your mindset into creating something that people can learn from, and that's your focus and so forth. But let me you're talking about pivot. Let me go back to the beginning now. We have a lot of our listeners who are experts in their field, like experts in the field of casino operations and development, business leaders, and so forth. And they have a lot of opinions and perspective and experience that I know that they are curious about writing their thoughts and creating a book. You are obviously doing it after 32 books now. It's probably not as much as a challenge for you as it was, decades ago for you, in the book #1. So if you could take us through the steps from development to conception to executing and delivery, what steps do you take to create one of your books? Could you share that with us?
So I've written really one personal success book in my entire life, and it's called Your Trajectory Code. All of the books that
Great book, by the way,
kind of surround that are books that deal with business and sales, because that's where I grew up, was in sales, and then in transition into business leadership, and business ownership. So in the book Your Trajectory Code, it plays off of kind of a V diagram, and it has A's here. There's a line that goes up to the left, that's B. There's a line that goes up to the right, that's C. And any of my followers that have been in my workshops or keynotes or read my books, they're tracking this concept. So trajectory code talks about this model. So AB is a finite line and represents basically failure and derailment. AC is a line that goes out into infinity and it represents success. So if you want to write a book, it's all about recognizing what are the steps that really do work and what are the steps that are not, and park your ego and follow the steps that work, which is the question you posed. So a couple of thoughts. In my newest book, Change Formational, so I'll give a couple of $1 million thoughts right now.
Okay.
The only reason someone's going to change from what they're doing to something new, if you want to transform your business, then there's only 4 ways you do it. Now, you can take these 4 and break them down into probably an infinite number of sub thoughts, ideas, strategies, and directions. But we create change for only 1 of 4 reasons: better, faster, different, cost-effective. If I can show you a way of doing something today that's different than how you're doing it now, and it's going to allow you to accelerate on that trajectory code model as an example to AC and be more successful, you're going to at least consider it. If I can show you a way to be more cost-effective, make more money, and it makes sense to you, therefore you're probably going to at least consider it, and therefore you'll change your trajectory. To write a book, it would start with number 1, are you a subject matter expert on anything? So that right off the top will eliminate 50% of the books at the bookstore can be tossed in a bonfire, and you can, in essence, cook some hot dogs and marshmallows and get more out of them. There's a lot of crap out there. So first of all, are you a subject matter expert? Again, there's a lot of pretty people out there in the world that are great at self-marketing, and they can take nothing and turn it into $1 million book. The problem is they create noise and derailment more often than not. And what people start to realize is once they buy into some of these thoughts that are out there, there is no destination because it's not written from a subject matter expert's perspective. So if you're an SME, subject matter expert, it's because you've done something, you've studied something, you're certified in something, you've accomplished something, you have a body of work, you have a patent, you have a copyright, etc. So the first thing I'd recommend is that just because you have an idea doesn't necessarily make it a book. Back up and really say, am I an SME on this experience or this topic? Meaning, can I go deep and talk about it? Because that's what you're going to need when you write the book. You're going to have deep knowledge on your idea. So again, just like you're hosting this program, you ask me or any of your visitors, your guests, a question. Everyone can give you a great 1-word or 1 sentence or 1 response. But if you go deeper, can they give you a second? Can they give you a third? Most people on the planet, and again, you can see this in a lot of times managers and sometimes business leaders that think they're a leader. You can see it in politicians. You can see it in a lot of people on TV. If you ask them about a 3rd or 4th question, they recycle back to the first statement. They have no depth. So I'm really beating this to death because if you want to write a great book, you've got to have depth on the topic, because as you get into it, an idea will birth a deeper idea, and that will birth even a deeper idea, or one story may unlock a better story. And now you're able to really start to craft your narrative of your topic because you're an SME, and that's going to bring value to your reader. That's 1. 2, second element, and again, if you ever propose or present a book to a major book publisher, as I have, John Wiley, McGraw-Hill, and Pearson Education. Those are the 3 major players in the book publishing world, and they have published a lot of my books. They're going to ask you for a book query. In a book query, there's several questions they want you to answer. So now I'll give you the 3rd answer to how to go about writing a book. So 1, are you truly a deep subject matter expert on the topic?
Is that the query? When you say that's the book query, this part is the query, or is there something that's separate from that?
The query is going to ask questions, Bruce, like, who's the target audience? How many people are in that audience? How, again, how many books do you project we could sell, basically? In that population of primary target and secondary targets that would be benefited by your book, how can we reach them? How can you reach them? So you have to start thinking about that as you write the book. And a lot of times people don't think about that until the book is done. Now, I would put that into the process thinking about the book, because that will help you in writing the book, because now you have a clarity of who your reader is, your avatar. Now, when you start to write the book, I'm going to go old school. I had a mentor many years ago by the name of Zig Ziglar. And Zig Ziglar, one of my companies is a media company. Go ahead.
I have to tell you, you have, I wrote a note. I don't know. I sent you something on LinkedIn last night. You did it twice now. You have zapped something out of my mind. Are you from another planet or something? I have a question about who are your mentors? Like, did you study Zig Ziglar or somebody like that? Who was your mentor? I have it right. That's the question I wrote down. And then yesterday, you posted or you liked and endorsed something when somebody had put on there about a book. How do you win friends and influence people?
That's it.
I had that on my list to speak with you about, and you posted it last night. And I'm saying, what is this? How can that happen? I'm serious. I'm dead serious right now.
We were connected. I love it.
Okay, I'm sorry, but go ahead. Go ahead. I had to.
No, so Zig Ziglar, for our listeners today that may not know of him, Zig Ziglar is kind of the motivational sales granddaddy of the planet. And he was a very powerful subject matter expert and speaker all over the planet in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, passed away a couple of years ago.
What was his formula? What was his formula? I'm sorry, I interrupt, but what was his formula? He had some kind of
he had a couple of formulas. One, if you help enough other people to reach their goals and be successful in life, you as a byproduct will be successful as well. Another one of his taglines was, "I'll see you at the top." Again, his classic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, should be required reading at the K-12 level. Every business person should have it as one of their probably 5 or 6 go-to books on their nightstand, as they say. Right. Just great human relations sorts of principles and ideas. Absolutely correct. Stephen Covey and his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People followed the same genre. Og Mandino followed the same genre. Again, if you want to get into hardcore business, it's going to be people like Peter Drucker and Ken Blanchard. Again, there's lots of great names out there. If you're dealing with trust, it's going to be David Horsager. If you're dealing with consultancy coaching, it's obviously going to be the Alan Weisses of the world. If you're looking at presentations, it's going to be Patricia Fripp or Darren LaCroix. Again, it goes on and on. In any industry, there's going to be the standout, subject matter experts, the elders, the go-to people, which is what our theme is right here. If you're going to write a book, are you that go-to person? Do you have something significant to contribute to the conversation? If so, absolutely write that book. Get it out there. It's legacy. Those words will last long after you've left the planet. However, if what you have is a recycling of someone else's words, I would really just caution you. You're being disingenuous and you're hijacking someone else. And again, Bruce, that's the problem. There's a lot of pretty speakers getting stage opportunities that, truth be told, they're not original. They're not. Yep. Your book needs to be original. What can you bring to the conversation? So again, back to it. So Zig Ziglar was a mentor of mine. Yes, I had a chance to meet him many times, and he wrote the 4 to 3 of my books. He gifted to me, 70 articles that had never been published prior to his passing that I run in my magazine as the last article. And a side note, I've never had to put a publisher's comment in Professional Performance Magazine when I ran one of his articles to qualify it. I mean, that's how, powerful his thoughts are, decades after he's passed away, or the articles were written and they still are relevant. Mm-hmm. So here was his thought. Now you can modernize this concept. You can ITize this idea, which is what I've done. But the way that he shared with me to write a book, which again, back to your original question, is go to an office supply store and get one of those little file folders that has a flap that closes over the top and expands. There's like little divided sections in it, and put a sticker on the folder of what is the working title for your book. It may change many times between now and when it goes to print, but the working title gives you a thought and a direction of where you're headed. Then any main point, that's how you label one of the sections. And anything you can think of, any ideas, any strategies, any articles you read, any how-tos, anything you come across, you drop it in that little slot. Now, the next idea might be your next chapter, so label that next little section with that idea. And again, you start putting your ideas in it. And once that file folder is so big you can't shut it anymore, that's probably the time for you to start writing your book. Go in and look at each of those sections, rearrange them in the right chronological order, start with the first one, pull out all of your notes and ideas, and remind yourself what you have in there and start writing from that perspective. And that's kind of the formula I've used for the last probably 10 or 15 books I've written. Now, I have ITized that into my computer, but it's the same thing. There's a file folder with that name. I click on it, open it up. There's one Word doc. I label that on the table of contents and start to flesh out my ideas there. And then for each main idea, there's then a separate Word doc article, Word doc file there, and I start writing the book from that standpoint.
Right.
And loop that back to another thing you said earlier, and that is mentor. You need to have powerful mentors in life. And I talk about this, through a concept called the FIS factor and the 5 sides of our life in my book, Your Trajectory Code. But your mentors will help to shape your thought processes in the books you're going to deliver to the audience you want to go after. Again, having great endorsements is another way of looking at it. You don't have to have those. Pre-selling books, you don't have to, but that helps. If you have clients and followers, whether it's through social media or a database, and letting them know about the book, encouraging them to purchase it, those are elements. But again, what's the the other element that one should look at is what's the purpose of writing this book? I mean, am I writing it to to make it a bestseller and make millions of dollars? Because if that's your goal, fine, but I think that's the wrong goal to have, because that doesn't happen for 99% of the authors that are out there.
Well, basically,
if it does, that's great.
Yeah, basically, I think what it is, Dr. McGee, I think what it is, like myself, my mentor and my former boss, who is in Australia and retired right now, we started writing a book 16 years ago, the same book. And we had to stop because we got
How's that going?
Well, you see, hey, it's started, not finished, a lot of pages and everything. But our thought was that we had some downtime. And the reason why we stopped is because we were opening up a new property in Florida. So we had to, because a lot of it was proprietary information. So we thought, well, we didn't want to get sued and talking about things that were happening in the present moment. So, but we never restarted when we got out of that situation where we could have, and we probably had the best opportunity when we were COVID, but we just never did. But the thing is, I think most people in my circle have a lot of knowledge that isn't being shared in our, say, the casino industry, that we want to share it. And so, but a couple of things that you said, and there's several things that you said, I wanted to kind of address also. So how do you select a publisher? And I know that you are the publisher of Professional Performance 360 as well as CEO World, and so you're self-publishing, I believe. I guess, is that true, or what's the process of selecting a publisher, or is that the best thing?
A little bit of both. So I'm a publisher. So my media company is Professional Performance Magazine, and I also write and contribute to other publications. So as you mentioned, CEO World, I contribute to that one. I'm not the publisher of that one, but that's also a clue. If you're going to write a book, what are the other touch points in the global market space to your readers? Is it online media platforms? Is it traditional hard print, or a hybrid of media platforms? Is it podcast, audios, books? Again, you want to follow everyone, you want to post everywhere, but again, you also want to, if you're a true subject matter expert, writing articles or extrapolating, pieces out of your book for others to use is a great way of keeping your book and your thoughts top of mind and out there. If I take your trajectory code, there's basically, 15 chapters in the book. I could take any one chapter and pull that out, and that becomes a mini book. That could become an article. I can use that one article to repurpose and submit it to all kinds of different places for it to be published. And then the connection is, for more on this idea, go to Dr. McGee's book, Your Trajectory Code, or go to Dr. McGee's book, Changeformational. So that's the part of the strategy and the mix of ways to get things out there. Years ago, two gentlemen, Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield, wrote a book series called Chicken Soup for the Soul, became probably the top 4 best-selling book genres on the planet of all time. Great concept. But when they first wrote the first book, and I've known these two gentlemen since the beginning of time, it seems like, they were hawking that book out of the trunk of their car, as they would say, and they would go on any radio show, because that was before the internet, basically. They would go on any radio or TV show anywhere in the United States 24/7 to present their idea and to present the book to drive book sales at the local bookstore. And that's what they did. And so that's really organic. And that took a lot of hard work, but they became I keep saying that word forever, millionaires off of that concept. But a lot of people, again, are not that committed or dedicated or have the work ethic to do that. So those elements. In terms of book publishers, to the other part of your question, there are institutional book publishers that are very well known and respected in any industry. So whether it's project management, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's medical, whether it's high tech, whether it's finance, in any industry. So the first thing I would encourage our listener to do is, in your space for this book, who's your target audience? Is there a trade book publisher that kind of owns that space? So if I play in business and management, that could be Prentice Hall, it could be John Wiley, it could be McGraw-Hill, it could be American Management Association, it could be SHRM, Society of HR Management. So there's a host of people that play in that space. And so the one reason I'd want to partner with them and present it to them and get them to maybe pick up my book and give me a royalty and give me commission is that they have a large audience to market the book to and sell it into. That's why you'd partner with them. Correct. If you don't feel that their audience is that deep, then you don't need to partner. And there are a lot of ways to self-publish today, and that book would look just as good, if not better, than what you're pulling off the shelf from any major trade book publisher. So part of what used to be the reason you'd want a major book publisher may not necessarily be a necessary variable for you.
Yeah, I see your point. That's a good point. Definitely.
A couple of great editors that I've used for many years that work on my books, put them together, package them, and make them look great as a self-published product. And then I can post them and I can generate immediate instant revenue while I take that done product and present it to the publisher. So for example, this book here, Your Trajectory Code, was self-published. I took the book, which was originally called The Line, because again, using a V diagram for A, B, and AC. And I presented it, and when I presented it to, in essence, Wiley, John Wiley took that exact book. All they did was change the name from The Line to Your Trajectory Code, because that was kind of the formula through the whole book, Your Trajectory Code. They just changed the name, took the manuscript as is, wrote me a check, and boom, it's now in the market space. And it's also an audio book with him. So there's a lot of ways to get it to market.
Wow. Cha-ching. Cha-ching. Fantastic. Yeah, make your money. Do it.
But whatever you do, let me caution the listeners one more time. Whatever you do, make sure whoever you use is legitimate. If you're going to use a small publishing house or a self-publisher, listen up, people. I'm saving you some heartache right now. You want that person to give you at least 5 people they're working with right now that you can call and legitimize and validate, make sure that you're not about to get scammed, and 5 people they've done the product with that you can talk to. So you want 5 people they're working with now, 5 people they have completed a product. You want their emails and phone numbers, and you want to reach out to them and make sure that you weren't scammed. If that person will not give you those names, run. There's a lot of disingenuous, BS artists in this space. I get a call at least once a month from someone trying to, undo damage control.
So tell me this, well, what kind of scams do they run? Do these bad guys or these unsavory would-be publishers do out there? What types of things are they doing that people aren't expecting, that is different than not just taking your idea and stealing it? Well, what types of things do they do?
Some of these people will charge you like, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to do your book. You pay the money, they never deliver anything. So that's the short and sweet of it.
Okay.
There are a lot of people that are going to, hijack your ideas. That's just a given.
Yeah, well, that's great advice, because what it is that my constituents that are out there, other casino professionals, have tons and tons of experience and knowledge. Okay. And I know for a fact that other than like Jim Kilby, there's a few others out there. I can't think of the names right now. You guys out there know who they are. They share, Scarnes, that's another one. They share tons of information through books that they have. And we have guys right now within the last, say, 3 decades, especially when the operations were opening up around the country, have all types of experiences where they could share, for an example, how do you open a casino? How do you recruit? And they could create these books. And they're looking for this information to try to help them to create these books and find publishers and things like that. So your experiences are great. Yeah. So I guess they say that the squeeze is not worth the juice. I don't know. I can't get it. So anyway, we're going to take a quick break. Our sponsor, UR Comp, they're going to speak about their Trios 360, and we're going to be right back, because I want to talk about things that are happening in California, this Proposition 47 and holding people accountable. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Dr. Jeffrey Magee.
Welcome to UR Comped. We help qualified casino players book comp offers with the top casino resorts and cruise lines in the world. Welcome to our office. It's in North Dallas. Welcome to Craig, Tyler, Katie, Jessica, Lexi, Elizabeth, Kale's cutout of Bob Ross, Asha, Natalia, Quintel, Jack, Delaney, and Joel. Tyler is a host. Hosts help casino players book new travel experiences. Welcome to Trio 360. It's a software we developed for ourselves and for casinos. It's pretty awesome. Kale, anything to add?
Trio 360 is a custom in-house CRM that allows our hosts to communicate with their players, and
That's enough of that. Welcome to Hype Videos. They advertise some of our upcoming cruise sailings. Very professional. Welcome to UR Comp's guiding principles of providing our customers with access, convenience, transparency, speed, and special service. Welcome to the team.
Welcome to UR Comp.
www.urcomp. Use promotional code ChecksPlayPodcast. And so what they're doing in California, what happened was the legislature, I believe, or whatever it was, the state government, they voted that they were going to move the threshold from $400 of a theft to $950 of a theft. Anything that exceeds $950 would be considered a felony, and they would pursue that. And I guess the court systems were so overcrowded and so backed up that they wanted to relieve this. Also, the cost of all of those processes in the judicial system was millions upon millions of dollars. So this was a way for them to relieve some of that cost. What is your position on this? What's your thoughts? And I don't want to really get into the politics of it, so it's really a bad scene.
So I'm not going to get political on it because that generates emotion. And when people's emotions are activated, it's hard for people to be rational. But
Sure.
I would respond to it this way. You know, I have great friends of every political view here in the United States and even globally. So again, if we just fixate here in the United States for the USA listeners, so for the global ones, take a step back. I mean, I've got great friends that are Democrat, that are independent, that are, Green Party, that are, Patriot Party, that are Republican. I mean, all over the place. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I would recognize in answering your question is that when I talk to individuals, I've yet to find anyone individually that condones criminal behavior. So first of all, that's where I would start. So now if we take it back to California specifically, I have no idea what's happening to people that have lost complete ownership and control of their brain to say that this is it. Right. So I'm going to offer a thought and then I'm going to answer it. Side effect, root cause. Side effect, root cause. Side effect, the more you address and speak to side effects, you never solve a problem. And people need to wake up and pay attention. Which political people or parties are in the business of deflection from root cause and core issue to side effect? Because side effect is $1 billion business on the planet. So if you want to deal with the issue, then anyone that that violates the law and breaks a crime should be held accountable. Now, that doesn't mean they have to go to prison, but they should be held accountable.
There are large numbers of people, and people can be concerned about their safety. Your life is not worth the products that they're selling. It's just not worth it. And so they're casually walking in, just picking what they want and put it into their backpacks and walking out.
So first of all, you break into someone's store, you should be held accountable, which means 1, you should have to do restitution. 2, you should have to, in essence, maybe stand outside on the street with a sign that says, I broke into this person's business. Shame on me. I apologize. And you shouldn't do it too. Let a little public humiliation and peer pressure work. And then let that person have to work there a couple hours a day for the next couple of months at no pay to also, in essence, see how much work it took for that business to be a business that they violated. That's one way. Or 2, if someone goes to jail from sunrise to sunset, if Jeff Magee was the president, here would be a presidential order. From sunrise to sunset, if you're in prison, there is no, in essence, television, gymnasiums are sitting on your butt. Everyone would have a job from sunrise to sunset, whether it's blue collar or white collar, prison farm, work camp, dairy, license plate, doing IT, whatever, but everyone would work from sunrise to sunset to help to contribute and pay for their stay. There's another one. And the last thought on that one, again, and each of these hopefully are shock therapy statements, get people to think. But then the last response is, if this proposition is saying, hey, it's okay to steal up to $900, it's okay to loot, it's okay to vandalize, it's okay to attack someone and not be held accountable, then every politician that's saying that's okay should be willing to say, I'm open. You can come take $900 out of my house every day and I will not call 911. You can come vandalize my house and I will not call 911. You can come beat me up and I won't call 911. I mean, those are hellacious statements, but that's the reality. I mean, here in the United States recently, there was a videotape of a person that broke into a store, pistol whip and beat the crap out of an old man that runs the store, robbed it, and the jury actually did not convict because they said there wasn't enough evidence. I mean, I'm thinking, are you kidding me? So there is zero accountability, back to your last question, which that's why we have problems. So we can use that problem of change and transformationally change some things, but go back to the root. Why do these people have a bad actor pathology? Our K-12 systems have failed them. Our local ministries and religious elders in that community have failed them. The parents have failed them. See, before we ever talk about the government, talk about the systems right there where that person is if you want to change the environment. Give people hope, give them a strategy, give them an action plan, and they'll be successful. If you don't, then people will fill in those blanks. And what we're seeing today a lot of times is negative. But we vote this nightmare into office, so enjoy the ride.
Doctor, before we go, I want to ask you one more thing. You're a former president of the Oklahoma Speakers Association, and you are a keynote speaker. You've been doing it for many, many years, public speaker, and you belong to the Public Speakers Association in Nevada. What do you have to do? What would a person, just the average person who wants to pursue a public speaking type of career? One of those people we both know is Quay Eady. She's a fantastic young lady that I had an opportunity to meet. She's episode 27, I believe, or something like that. And she is a fantastic mind. She's going to be one of the keynote speakers and panel discussion monitors.
Phenomenal young lady, military
Absolutely.
veteran, just a phenomenal mathematical mind.
Yes.
She is very much in demand within the gaming casino industry. She can come in and help people to see things that others are not. Those things can be, in essence, how numbers add up or don't add up, how to become more cost effective, how to turn every piece of the business into a profit center. Yeah, she is phenomenal.
So what does a person get out of being part of the Nevada Speakers Association or the United States Speakers Association? Can you tell us about that?
Great question. So every trade industry has a trade association. So let's back up and start there. If you're a doctor, there's a trade association. The specialty you're in is going to be sub-trade association. So every profession, if it's a true profession, it has a trade association represents it.
Right.
So if you are a professional speaker, whether you're coming at that because you have years of wisdom or you've just innovated something or whatever your subject matter expert platform expertise is, whether you do training, keynotes, whatever, there's a trade association that's called the National Speakers Association based in the United States. And there's global variations of it that have been all birthed out of the National Speakers Association that a gentleman by the name of Cavett Roberts many years ago created. Within the National Association, so you can go to the national website to see what the requirements are to join. There's your second Q&A. There are chapters across the United States. And so I was president of the Oklahoma chapter many years ago. I was on the board of directors for the Mountain West chapter in Salt Lake City. And I have been the president twice to the Las Vegas chapter. So wherever I've moved, I've gotten involved with that local chapter because that is professionally what one should do. So within that, there are levels of participation. So I would direct people to go to the national website for that answer. See if there's a chapter in your area and definitely go to 2 or 3 meetings before you join. Don't join until you've been to a couple of meetings to really get a good feel for it. Now, within that, there is one earned certification within the National Speakers Association, and that is CSP, Certified Speaking Professional. So I would encourage anyone who's interested in getting into this industry or that is and wants to elevate and accelerate their success to download that application. Whether you apply for it or not doesn't matter, but if you download that application, you'll get a long list of answers to your question of what it takes to be in this industry. So again, you got to look at it as a business. So how do you set that up? What's your database? What's your management system? How do you do your contracts? What's your target audience? What's your deliverable? The multiple delivery streams you can create? How do you monetize it, et cetera? So that's a whole series of answers to your question. To me, this is a profession. So what are your income goals? What are your life goals? What's your legacy goals? What is the message you have? Who's the audience that it would benefit if you were in front of? And then what are all the ways to get to them? Whether it's virtual touch points like this podcast or video programs or webinars or teleseminars or, just-in-time learning or web-based learning or LMS systems or keynotes or, just on and on and on.
And what was that I read that one of the things that you do, when you go up in front of an audience, rather than taking their clothes off and undressing them, because it doesn't work for me. What is it that you do? You said you put a piece of glass, imaginary glass in front of you, and you use that as a tool. How does that work for you?
Well, one of the ways I look at the audience, just to make sure you do engage them, you don't spend your time disproportionately playing off of one familiar face in a room is that's one of the coaching techniques I share with people is that imagine you're walking out in that room to do a presentation on that stage. There's a piece of glass between you and the audience. And if there is a piece of glass, then put a vertical line from top to bottom right down the middle. Yeah. So as you look at that room, you want to make sure you're playing to all 4 quadrants. So find a familiar face, or if there is one, in each of those quadrants. So again, if Bruce is in the top left, as I look out in that room and I occasionally look at you, everyone in that line of sight believes I'm looking at them. And then again, top right, top left, bottom right, keep working it. Because we've all been in one of those programs where, you know, the speaker or the person up front starts talking, and they may not realize it, but they kind of get stuck, like their feet are glued to the floor just in one area, and they're playing to one part of the audience. It's almost like, you know, you can stick your tongue out at them and they never have a clue you did it.
Right,
You got to
right.
work the room to pull them in and engage them. Personalize your message. Always do the research of who your audience is. So again,
Interesting.
you'll know what their pain points are, what's going on in their life right now. Again, are you speaking to their immediate needs, intermediate needs, or long-term needs? What is, you know, again, you have a meeting planner or whoever is bringing you in, get really clear with them as to what's my goal. What do you want me to do when I walk out on that stage, as they say? And when I leave the stage, what does success look like for you? What is it you want me to accomplish? Because some people, and this is sad, but some people it is, you know, I need someone to take up 45 minutes on the agenda, and you're just basically a placeholder. I want you to make them laugh, or I want you to do tricks, or I want you to stand on your head, pick your nose. I don't know, but do something. And that's sad, because I think, again, every time you bring a group of people together, you owe that group massive, meaningful gains through whatever it is. And if I'm walking on that stage, I don't want to just be a placeholder. I want them tomorrow morning when they wake up. I want them next week when they wake up to still have, you know, call to actions from my presentation that can help them to become better at what they do. So one, do research on the audience. If you have a chance to interview any of the key influencers that are going to be in that audience ahead of time, again, what are you coming to this event for? You know, what is it you need? I do a lot of ongoing leadership training, talent development engagements where I'm there for a long period of time. So again, the owners, the executive team, where do you want this business to be going? What are your values? What's your vision? What's your purpose? What's your mission? What are your goals? You know, what do you need this team to be ready for? You know, is it about the culture, changing the culture? There is no culture. There's a long list of questions you should be asking or getting the data on. So when you walk out on that stage, you can make your message incredibly impactful, meaningful from the first sentence.
Okay, so doctor, thank you so much. I tell you what, you've been a great person, a great guest to have on Cheques Play. You are episode 1 of season 2.
A ton of fun. Thank you.
And I can't wait to get you back, because there are so many more things I want to talk to you about, speak with you about, that I'm sure our audience would love to hear about. Your website is what now? So how people can get a hold of you?
JeffreyMagee.com. For everything about me, again, JeffreyMagee.com or ProfessionalPerformanceMagazine.com.
Trajectory Code is one of your newest books, and your Transformation is the latest book.
And the other one right before that was Your Trajectory Code.
Fantastic. Dr. Magee, thank you so much. You've been great. I can't thank you enough. We really appreciate it. Can't wait to see you again.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
And don't forget, folks, to hit that like button and also share and also subscribe. We can't wait to see you again. Thank you again. I'm Bruce Harris for Cheques Play. See you later.
We are also sponsored by Unity Surveillance Solutions. For end-to-end security and surveillance solutions, you need Unity Surveillance. From manufacturing advanced hardware to developing customizable software, Unity Surveillance makes surveillance simple from decision makers to operators. Contact info@unitycore.us. Enter promo code ChequesPlay.